You're trapped in the frigid Rito Village blizzard, and you're just an average Hylian. Do you have what it takes to survive? If not, fear not, because today I'll show you how I survived in one of the harshest climates in Hyrule, and how you can too. You may have the question though, why is this guy willingly heading into such a dangerous situation? The answer to that question started inside this stable, or as some of you may know, the Lucky Clover Gazette. As Hyrule's resident freelance filmmaker, I felt it right that I check in with the local paper and see what I could do to help. Oh, and of course it's also because Lost Hylian researcher told me to head this way, and most of you liked it. Inside the Gazette, I met with Tracy, who took notice of my supply-laden horse waiting patiently outside. She immediately made the connection that not only was I there to help chase down stories, but I was also delivering supplies to the Rito. It was then that she introduced me to my first great obstacle. Amidst the chaos of the upheaval, the bridge to Rito Village had been destroyed, making it impossible to deliver supplies to the snow-covered community. Well, figuring out how to get across the gap into the village was going to be the first task I needed to accomplish. Tracy charged me with 2 more. The second was to assess the conditions of the village. For the Rito to continue receiving supplies, their situation would need to be kept top of mind for people across the kingdom. My research would be key in painting an accurate picture that invoked sympathy from the other citizens, which in turn would keep the donations coming. Then, my final task would be to learn and demonstrate how to survive off the land. With so many strange weather conditions happening across Hyrule, the more we could educate the population, the better chance people would have to survive. So in order to tackle crossing the Rito Gap to accomplish my first goal, I decided to poke around the stable and see if I could get any ideas. I'm not strong enough to hang onto a paraglider and catch an updraft, so I would have to find another way. Looking around, I saw several things that could come in handy. Hylian pine cones, a stack of logs, some flint, and some wooden sticks. That's when it clicked. This was everything I needed to get across. Now, bear with me. You might think what I'm about to tell you is just made up for a story's sake, but the process here could work for you too, wherever you live. Now, if you've spoken with Gally here, you'll know he's taken something of an interest in Hylian pine cones, causing quite the ruckus when he accidentally threw one in the fire. What you may not know is that the thing that causes the pine cones to react so violently with the fire is because the sap inside of it is flammable. But the sap has more than one use, which will come in handy later. Next, you can drop some flint and wooden sticks, but I'll use the fire that's already here. Now, if you've started a fire, you'll know that the burning wood can form charcoal. And if you grind the charcoal into powder and combine it with the pine sap over a fire, you get pine resin glue, which can be used to bind things together. As you can see, I used a little bit of the glue to combine these 2 barrels together, and they're not going to come apart easily. Like I said, I'm not making this up. Google it if you want. Charcoal dust, pine sap, and a little bit of heat can make a sturdy glue. But anyway, the question now becomes, what can I do with the glue? Well, that's where those cut logs come in. I'm gonna make a bridge. But yeah, I hear you say, have you seen that gap? It's huge. I hear you, and don't worry, we'll figure that out too. But first, we've got some glue to collect. It took a really long time, but after many days, we finally had enough glue for our project. I decided I would keep some handy for myself on future adventures too. With the help of my horse and the folks around the Gazette, we managed to take the logs, cut down some extra trees, and get our bridge all fastened together. Now there was just that one more hurdle to cross, getting the bridge across the gap. This was tricky, given how long the bridge was, but I was able to use some octo balloons to raise the bridge up onto this arch. Then with some finicking with wheels and some pushing, we managed to get the bridge to fall right into place on the other side. Look, just don't think about it too much. Goal number 1 was reached, but there was something more pressing. I needed to get into the village and see what was going on. I made my way across the perilous gap, moving slowly to avoid falling into the icy abyss. As I made my approach to the village, I couldn't help but notice the eerie feeling in the air. It was the same Rito village, but despair could be felt in every heavy snow-sinking step. As I entered the village, I was greeted by the song of a single Rito child. It was sweet at first, but seeing a single child singing amongst the cold desolation of a once warm and thriving community was eerie. I continued through and came across child after child who warmly greeted me, beckoning me to come and buy their clothes or stay at their inn. They were friendly, but I raised the question, where were their parents? Their absence felt bizarre amongst the cheerful naivety of youth. As I refused to buy anything from their general store, not willing to take anything from a community already short on supplies, I heard the sound of heavy wings from a higher landing. I headed up the stairs, where I was greeted by the Rito village leader, Teba. I asked him to tell me more about the situation. He explained that food was scarce, and they were having to venture into more and more dangerous places, such as caves, to gather supplies. All of the adults were needed to gather what they could, so the kids had to be left behind during the day. Their kids were tough, but being away weighed heavily on the parents, especially knowing that there was a chance they might not make it back. Without donations from the other Hylian people, they didn't know how much longer they could survive. Now that I understood the conditions of the Rito people, it made my third goal even more important, learning how to survive off the land and sharing that with you. Teba pointed me in the direction of some of the adult Rito, and I set off into the wilderness. I did a little bit of poking around and found some chill shrooms, as well as some ice fruit, but made my way to a nearby cave to look for more materials. Depending on what I could gather would determine the recipes I'll share with you today. As I explored the caves, I found some chillfin trout, glowing cavefish, and glow caps. There wasn't much else, so let's look at what you can make with these. There's several combinations, but these are a few of my favorites. Combine the glow caps and you can make yourself a mushroom skewer, which will give you a slight glow effect, which can help with navigating the dark caves. You can get the same effect if you add some glowing cavefish in, which gives you a delicious fish and mushroom skewer. Follow the same recipes using the chill shroom and chillfin trouts, and you'll get the same thing, but with the ability to resist hot environments, which probably won't help you too much in this environment. But this last recipe sure will. Combine any amount of ice fruit, and you'll make yourself some simmered fruit that will make you feel energized and ready to take on any foe with strength coursing through your veins. I know they're not the most gourmet of meals, but they'll keep you alive in a pinch. Maybe another time we'll do a walking tour of the best food in Hyrule. Let me know if that's something you'd want to see. And with that, we accomplished our third goal. As I arrived back at the Lucky Clover Gazette, there was a sudden change in weather, and the snow melted. I guess Link had been getting things done at the same time as me. But in any case, I hope you'll find these tips useful in your own adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Talk to you then.